Okay. Okay, we are live.
Great, good evening everybody. So good to be here at the inauguration of the exhibition and to welcome you all to this show. So we're going to have a panel discussion, go through some thoughts, some experiences that we had over the last 2 weeks of being up here on the hillside, engaging with the Woodstock community, and making work. We're going to have the artists respond, talk about their experiences. So I want to start with just overall coming back to this hillside, right? For some of you after many years, for some of you after a few months. What was that like? Of course in the monsoon season, but coming back to the school that you love so much, that you have so many memories of. What was that like?
Since I have the mic, I suppose I'll start. So my name is Maylene, and I graduated in '96. And the first time I came back after I graduated was for our 20-year reunion, which is an amazing experience. Bonding once again with all our friends, classmates. It was just beautiful. Then I came back about 2 months ago, and again, it was just getting in touch. It felt like to my roots. I mean, it's one of the places that I feel my roots have been planted here. So it's very grounding, and it's a very soulful experience, I feel.
Yeah, of course. Hi, everybody. My name is Tommy Greenler. I am a member of the class of 2015 here at Woodstock. And yeah, this is actually my first time back on the hillside at Woodstock since my class grad in 2015. So it's been a really magical, wonderful experience to be back. I think it can reflect what Milan said. The sort of feeling that we all have roots here that are pretty deep. I sort of credit my time at Woodstock as being sort of this transitionary time between my childhood and my adulthood. And so now being back 9 years later, and sort of having lived all of this adult life since my last time here, it's interesting to be back, but I feel like that was something I drew a lot of inspiration from in terms of bringing my project together as well, was this idea that like this is a place where I'm rooted, where I have this history, and where I experienced a part of my childhood, but now I have brought so much of my own life experience sort of since my days at Woodstock with me back, and sort of kind of combining those two experiences has been great.
Yeah, that's, I think we resonate with that, right? Coming back and finding that rootedness to this place. If you can look at, Woodstock is a very special experience, and now that we've stepped out, having experienced so many different experiences, right? From whether it was university, college, different cultural settings, mixing with different people. What is that thing that makes Woodstock special? We've kind of talked about it, but what is that uniqueness in the experience here? If you guys could share about that.
Hi, I'm Sam, class of 2004. The first thing that popped into my mind was the view from up here. That's been absolutely breathtaking the last couple of days, and we've had sunsets that were beyond stunning. And I think the setting of where the school is, that it's nestled up here in the hills, and that we're very, very close to nature, that we grew up walking through forests on our way to school. I think that's one of the things that makes this a very, very special place, among others. And we've had the privilege of kind of going out to Jabbergate and to Flag Hill with Mr. Akshay, and kind of really been immersing in just the very, very bountiful, boasting nature during monsoon time. And yeah, I think it's where we are. And I think it's brought, at least I can speak for myself, a deep appreciation for nature as well. Like it's very close to my heart. Yeah.
Hi, Vinay from the class of 2009. And just to add to what Sam said, sorry. I think it's also the people around you. I think Woodstock's built this culture of not only people from your grade, but everyone else. Like if we look at this panel here as well, everyone's from a different batch, yet we're similar and have different experiences that kind of make everything one. And I think that's something that kind of adds to that experience as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we, so during the residency we've had sort of a few talks on interculturality and interfaith dialogue, and that's something I think that's very, very unique about Woodstock as well, is that there's such a rich mix of cultures, of people of different faiths and different backgrounds coming together and actually creating a unique kind of meta-culture, the Woodstock culture. We were talking about how the school has its own slang that, you know, that's endemic to this place and no one outside of Woodstock kind of knows it. And so, yeah. Yeah. And I think that's something that all of us have taken away as well, is, you know, we throw around these words like global citizenship, but it's a very, very real thing, and it's something I'm very grateful for, is very broad horizons that Woodstock gives us. Yeah. Didn't want to take two turns, but I did.
That's so good, yeah. Casey,
Would you like to go?
Ravi? So we did, we were part of the campus, you know, for the last 2 weeks. We felt like home, we felt like we were back in school, dining in quad, to, you know, going on chakra walks, to bonfires, all of that, right? So many experiences that took us back to school. What was, you know, just being on the campus, the physicality of the space, right? And working in the studios, working with students, being part of class, teaching, right? Like what was sharing your experiences, sharing your like mentoring? How was that experience? Because that was a big part of the program, and I think the students benefited immensely from professionals giving advice, spending time with them, working with them. What are some of your experiences from that? It's kind of like two questions merged in one, so whichever you'd like to respond to.
Yes, so we were all together, like in the studio, like we had separate tables, but it was like in one room. And I was telling them that it really feels like I'm back in art class, because even though we're all, like, usually we all have our individual studio space, but over here, since we were all together, it felt like we were back in school, you know, in art class. The music is on speaker, and then we're just like doing our own thing. And I really enjoyed having, like, sort of reliving that moment again. And I think with the students also, it was like really fun because they're really curious about different things, and it was fun to sort of answer their questions and like be like, oh, like of course, I would say like we don't know much, but you know, like to students, they're like, oh, what did you do? How did you do this? And things like that. Like I got to speak with the wellness club about art therapy, and that was really exciting because they had a lot of questions. And even though usually I feel like I don't know enough, like when they asked me questions and I was able to answer, I was like, oh, I do know some stuff. So that was fun.
I just want to add to that. Yeah, absolutely. I think the uniqueness of us all being together and sharing that space has been just wonderful. With the students, I felt the mentoring side of things was incredible. I really enjoyed that. That's been one of my, it's not one of many of my favorite things during this art residency. And not only the art students, but Ruth gave me the chance to also speak to the drama class, 7th grade and 12th grade. And again, to Kezia's point, like there's not much I know about that, but I did do a lot of drama while I was here, theater. And it was more about the soft skills that we get through certain things. So it's not just theater, it's a lot that is involved in a class like that. So I think and they had so many questions and I loved it. I really, really enjoyed that. So yeah, I think that's something unique in this art residency that we can also give to the students. And I learned a lot myself, so it's been really cool.
Alright, hi, I'm Samira. I'm just going to add to what Melly and Casey said. So personally, I thought it was really lovely that we were up in the media center because it's the one building that is still sort of the same, at least our time. So immediately when we walked to the media center, I thought, oh wow, yay, things are the same here, and that experience was nice. I enjoyed that. And the students, I have to say, I really, I'm really happy that they have so much opportunity to try different mediums, which is something I don't remember having when we were in school. So I thought it was great to observe that they're doing so many different things. I saw one of the students working on painting on glass, and you know, it was just really wholesome to see this and to see that the art has also expanded. And
And I have an experience to add to, and this, I'll speak for myself, but I think this may be true for many of us too, that in some ways working with students, mentoring with students, kind of served as a benchmark for maybe our own growth since our time here. That was certainly true for me. I remember like my first couple times walking through the main gate or just walking around campus the first few days, I kind of felt like I was back in high school. But it was very apparent that all the high schoolers here did not see me as a high schooler. Big surprise. But it was one of these things where I think once we started mentoring with students, we kind of broke up into smaller groups and had sort of like individual mentorship sort of relationships with students who were working in mediums or trying new mediums maybe that we had some expertise in. And for me particularly, I mentored a couple students on a dance project, which I didn't start dancing until I was in college. So dance was not a part of, it was always a part of my life, but it was not something I would have said I had any expertise in back in my high school days. And so, sort of being back, feeling like I was a student for the first few days, and then really finding myself more as a mentor, as a teacher, felt like a benchmark of sort of my own growth since the last time I was here.
And through it all, we were dealing with a topic that, of course, it connected to the academic aspect of, unfurling ideas and unfurling concepts and thoughts. But it was also a challenge to us, right? Considering it in the context of our environment. And initially, I think one of our initial meetings, we asked, what does unfurling mean to you? I don't know if you remember your answers, but they were profound at the very onset. We dealt with so many ideas, concepts around that, thinking about life force, what does that mean, where do ideas come from, and through the process, through many discussions, and that you have finished a work, right, in 2 weeks, that's hugely commendable. So if we can sort of think through the process, our process, right, of being engaged in the school, mentoring, having fun, the entire experience, and then yet coming out with something. What were some of those influences? What were some of those ideas that came out of collaboration or out of conversations? How did your work come to be? If we can reflect on a little bit on the theme, what unfurling, sort of how we understood unfurling, and then also a little bit about your work. So for that, maybe you could have everyone share a little bit. Yeah.
I think that obviously the theme of unfurling was initially, as definition has its own meaning, but as we had conversation with staff members, students, I think all of us individually derived our own definition and meaning of it. Maybe it was derived from obviously our work, our medium that we use, something that we wanted to create. Maybe it was inspired by possibly just walking up the chakra and then seeing something on the hillside and you're like, okay, wait, this plant, this seed, excites me a little bit. I think personally for me as well, for my project, which was obviously working with sneakers and deconstructing it, as we had discussions and we all spoke and kind of threw our ideas with each other, discussed them, it changed the initial route that I kind of thought I had, and I think made it better. Like also Kezia said earlier, the classroom effect kind of added to us kind of thinking out loud, discussing our thoughts a little bit more in depth, and finally like coming up with our own definition, which transcended and translated into our projects that are on display over here. Yeah.
When I was accepted to do this residency, I was already thinking about unfurling. So for me, I came with this very sort of definition in my mind already. I felt that I had wanted to get back to my medium, and I've been feeling like I've been having a lot of, my life was a lot of, thinking and a lot of mental work, and I wanted to get back into my body and just create. So this was the feeling of unfurling as I got here, which hasn't changed. I'm still, I'm enjoying that process of unfurling physically and creating. But it was also very, wonderful to be with this group and experience what everyone else was feeling and what their thoughts were around unfurling. So right off the bat, on the second day, I had this, this idea that I didn't work on, but I had an idea which is very different to any thoughts I've had working with my medium in a very, very long time. And I would definitely credit that to the group and just how we were working together, discussing a lot of things, and again, this classroom setting of everyone sort of pitching in, talking, and observing each other working. So I was quite amazed. I didn't follow this idea, but the fact that I had this idea was very uplifting, because it just, I realized that I locked myself into a mold of how I think and how I relate with my work. And there I was having these new ideas, quite alien to me, and really wonderful, really opening, really unfurling. All right, and that's my experience.
All right, yeah, so I think my process and sort of how I approached it was different than maybe a few of the other people here on the panel, in large part because I was actually a last-minute addition to the residency here. I had just been visiting as an alumni for the first time in 9 years, just visiting school a week before the residency started, and learned that there was an opportunity to be a part of it, and kind of last minute said, this sounds like exactly what I need to do right now. And I have been working in the arts for the last several years. I've had a lot of opportunity, I think, to be creative. And I'm an interdisciplinary artist. I love to experiment with mediums. I don't have one medium that I work in solely or sort of like primarily necessarily. And so I sort of use unfurling, the title of the residency, as the sort of primary inspiration to help me decide. Because sometimes I say being interdisciplinary is another nicer way to say indecisive. So it sort of helped me, I think. I took it quite literally. I sort of thought of it in terms of movement, in terms of the physical action of what unfurling is, what we think of unfurling being, more than metaphorically, and that helped me sort of decide what my project would be in a short period of time. And then, yeah, I think I would echo what you said, though, Samira, that sort of over the course of the 2 weeks working together, even though we all were working on very different, our individual projects in different mediums, perhaps, that this creative energy we all shared. I think we all had a great deal of respect for each other's opinions, and were really open to feedback, and I think we just really fed off of each other, and the fact that we shared this awesome experience, and being in this place that has meant so much to us, it really felt like a lot of the work did lay itself out naturally sort of over time, in a really supportive and just ideal environment to work, I found.
Right, so I've been a fashion designer for over 18 years, and I've been doing mostly computer work. And when I got accepted to do this, I actually panicked a bit because I hadn't been doing any art for like 15 years, even draping and things like that. So then I did come up with a plan and everything, and it really completely has evolved from its original ideas. It retains sort of the main bits, but being with this group, so unfurling initially, like the whole time I actually thought of unfurling as being more of layers. I think I did mention it quite a few times. Exploration, uncovering, and that's why I called my piece Inpouring, because it's more about sort of also delving into the self and really exploring and finding your authentic self. You have all these layers. You will always be you in all those layers, but yet there's always more to find out, and especially in the environment that you're in, with the support or not, or whatever it may be. So that sort of morphed into an installation where I put together a very raw looking dress, so it's all quite in its most basic form, and bringing in the monsoon with the flowers and all that, sort of to bring in that whole unfurling and that garden that's you know, in our surroundings, from our surroundings, and adding fashion illustrations with little details that also bring in the monsoon, and just loving local art forms. So you'll see that through the patterns that I've used in my fashion illustration. Now, yeah, I'm really proud of it. I think it's something that I took from everyone. Like, everybody gave like a little piece, because there were things such as, I think Sam who said like, oh, but you're going to use all greenery, like, oh, you're hurting nature. And I thought, well, it's all part of it, but that's a great idea, because I had made my own handmade paper, recycled paper. I made my own decal and all that. And I thought, well, what am I going to do with this? And in fact, I thought, well, that's a great idea. I'm just going to make my own flowers too. So I began doing that, and it was all very experimental. And actually, it's been incredible, the journey. And that's what I mean by this unfurling, these layers that just keep adding, and we keep uncovering sort of, yeah, the birth of the exploration to come, right? So it's lovely, yes. Unfurling and your piece.
I think in the beginning I said unfurling was like sort of taking out like our memories that we had at Woodstock back again. And I think in one of the conversations I had with Sam, where he was like, I was scared to come back to Woodstock because all the memories he had from before, he felt like if he saw the new renovations, like it would override the memories. And I sort of felt that too, and but still, I think being with being with people who had seen what school was like before, where we experienced, like, say, the same structures, classes, and teachers, it still somehow felt like we were in the same place and nothing had changed. And that was something really beautiful, I think.
Yeah.
So for me, the theme was unfurling memories, and I think when we were taking a tour of the campus, I think Addie told us that the library tree had been transformed into those sculptures at the quad, and and I think I still remember like being in class one day, and then someone was like, "Oh my God, they're gonna chop down the library tree," and we were like, "What? How can they do that?" And so it was this whole thing, and then of course they don't. Sorry. They wouldn't want to chop down the library tree. There was a reason they had to. I think it was like rotten and it was a danger, so they had to chop it down. But we were like so distraught in class, and we couldn't like think of what to do to like save it or anything. But yeah, I still have that distinct memory, and so my theme just became like about the library tree and how special it is, I think, to represent Woodstock. Oh my God! And the second part was about all of us in a space, right? Yeah. Right?
Yeah, your art piece. What about your art piece?
process. It's been really fun being in process. And I think this time around it felt a little bit like during monsoon when you leave your windows open and the clouds come inside and all of a sudden you don't have literal fog in your room, but it kind of gets a little damp. And so this sort of being permeable and having things seep in, be that conversations with each other, be it sort of the literal fog that we kind of walk through as we come down from community center, as we head down to the quad. Be it sort of all the stuff that's in the in-between, that just kind of, it drenches you, or it's drenched me, and I found that there's a wellspring of resources that we can draw on that aren't like bound to reason, that aren't rational. I think that's a beautiful thing about making art. You're kind of finding your way, not blindly groping, but you're being guided almost by all this influx of information, of sensory information, of beauty, of rain, and that's just been very, very enriching. And yes, and sometimes the process kind of leads through not dry spells, but through, let's say, trial and error, and you realize, oh, this avenue I was trying to take, it doesn't really work, and then you kind of, you're being guided down another path. That's how it was for my project. I came with the intention of doing one thing, ended up doing something similar to it, but not quite. This sort of non-rationality about making art is something I really cherish. Being non-conceptual, I guess.
Conceptual is great.
Thank you guys for sharing about process, but also over the last 2 weeks, giving immensely to the school, to each other, to the students that we mentored. The monsoon gives, right? This is also harvest time. It's a season of giving. I think we all feel that, that we're taking so much back with us. So with that, we are coming to the end of the panel. One thing we'll have questions from, if you guys have any questions, we could address that. Do you guys have any questions or prompts that you'd like to speak about, or anything else? And then just a little bit about the continuance of this program. Should it continue? How can we, what should we do better? Just a little reflection to that, and with that we'll end the panel discussion. Thank you everybody who have joined us for the live session, and hope you got to get a little glimpse of what we've been up to the last 2 weeks here. We will have photos and videos of the exhibition on our socials, so do look out for that.
Are we still rolling? So this is for them. You guys are great. I'm so appreciative of what you're saying and your articulation of what I experienced 2 years ago is also kind of it was an onslaught of emotion and possibility. And I'm curious primarily about your interfacing with the school and the students, and if there was anything specific, like a specific a takeaway or something that someone said to you that was influential to you. Like, what was that reciprocity with the students that you were working with? It's as concrete as you can. Maybe there's nothing, maybe that's something we can follow up on, but I wanted to ask that question.
So one of the opportunities that I had over the last couple of weeks that was very exciting was the ability to join a meeting of a new student group on campus, PRISM, which is, I don't remember exactly what PRISM stands for. Jamie's not here to let me know what it stands for, but essentially it's the Gender and Sexuality Identity Alliance that started at Woodstock last semester. And that was a big part of my high school and university journey in my life, just in general, and my time here at Woodstock as well. Being out at a time where there weren't very many students who were, and so having the opportunity to, I think, meet with students and see that there's this really healthy and supportive community for students now, and be able to do a Q&A with them and sort of share my experiences at Woodstock and then beyond as well, was really powerful for me, and definitely something where I feel like, you know, I think a lot of people up here, a lot of us have been talking about how sometimes the changes that have gone on in school, you know, in terms of renovations or whatnot, can be, you know, as beautiful as they may be, can be a little difficult to see places that we're so nostalgic for having changed. But that was an instance for me where I really saw a change that was really amazing to see, and I was really, really, really proud of the students who have put in so much effort in getting this group started on campus. So, yeah.
Okay, if we can, the final bit, the continuance of this program. What do you guys feel about that?
Oh, I think
It should happen again.
yeah, for sure. I'll be back.
I think at one point we all discussed taking this program outside of this setting and maybe having it in a place where obviously resonates with school and nostalgia of coming back to school in the hills, but also maybe taking the opportunity to try it out in a different setting. Maybe that kind of changes the mindset of set team that might be there that year, and how that could probably just bring out different outcomes, and everyone might just kind of relate differently with even going down to somewhere nearby in Dehradun or somewhere close by. I think that could be something that could be incorporated. I think we all discussed that a little bit as well.
I think strongly encourage all alumni artists to come and participate. It's such an opportunity. I feel like there's quite a few. How many are in the artist affinity group?
Over 100.
Yeah. So
Over 100.
Yeah. So there's many residencies to be had. And I feel like all of us are all the richer for having been here and having done this.
Just wanted to add real quick, yes, and I am very grateful for the alumni office to have sort of incorporated students, former students, and encouraged them to come back here and to reconnect and to bond once again with all of us, because we are really such a close-knit community, and we've reached like all ends of the world, I think, and to bring them all back here, whether it's art residency, perhaps there's music, perhaps there's drama, perhaps there's other different types of things that bring in the alumni back. It's a wonderful, wonderful program, really, and I hope there's more of it.
Yeah, I think that the one change that you'll need to do next time is more capacity, because all of us are going to come back, but you also need spots for new alumni to come and experience this as well. So yeah, definitely you're going to have to at least double the size of the cohort next time.
I think Addie's taking note of this. Wonderful. Thank you all for sharing and for this wonderful panel discussion. We have so many people to thank for this residency, the school, the administration, CFI team led by Jamie, advancement office, And I've said this before, just the entire ecosystem here is so supportive of us, making us feel welcome, and really all the requests we had, through the program, we found answers to those requests. So, and that in itself, I think, to say of the school, this is so unique to a school setting that can invite a residency like this. I don't know of any other school that has programs like this. So definitely kudos, and highly appreciate the school for creating such a program, along with, of course, the Artist Affinity Group, who have laid the foundations to this program and other alumni engagement as well. And of course, it's like Milan, you were saying, it's not only for the artists, but alumni from different professions still being able to engage with the school on multiple levels, right? There are affinity groups, and if anything, I think those are opportunities for alumni to connect back with the school and give back, and yeah. So.
You very modestly, of course, did not mention yourself in Art for Change, but I think you and Art for Change are a very, very big part of why this is how it is and why it is at all. And so I think we have a lot of gratitude in our hearts towards you as well, and a lot of love, Isaac.
Thank you. It's only been a privilege and an honor, and this is, it's I think something which comes from heart and passion as much as it's everything else. That's what really drives us to do what we do. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Brijeshi.
Just keep sitting there. Let me take a photo of you.